Welcome back to another episode of Azrael Reacts. I'm your boy Azrael, and today I'm bringing something fresh and I'm bringing something new. The Great Deception to deceive indigenous minds. What do I mean by that? Well, when I started this whole thing with American Indians versus Native Americans, it was mostly on the fact that I had seen videos saying that we was the true people of America. Well, since starting this, I found videos saying that copper colored or brown skinned people that look like me, are indigenous to every part of this fucking world, every landmass. So it makes me wonder, was slavery just a deception to deceive black minds into making them forget where they actually came from and who they really was? Well, I got some answers to that, and some of them are saying yes. But before we hop into these videos, which some of them is gonna trip y'all out some, but before we get into these videos, go ahead and drop a like and subscribe for a brother. Go ahead and drop a comment down there. You know what y'all do is help out. That little clip really helps me out. But hey, thank you, and let's go ahead and get into these videos.
Hey, this is a message to all of you so-called black Americans from your ancestors. As you can tell, look around. We are fed up and we are here to fight with you. But the first call is upon you. Black is a color. You have never been a color. You are indigenous. Take on this call to action now. We will no longer be called black. Black this or black that. I don't care what you trying to sell, who you trying to impress. You are indigenous to these lands. This is our time. From this day forward, never dress yourself as a black again. And if anyone calls upon you as that, look at them like they have shit on them, because you are indigenous to these lands. These are our lands, and we're coming back for what is ours. The time is now. We don't have to go to no governments or nothing else to ask for permission to be addressed as the ethnicity we are. We are the indigenous. You have held us back for too long. Our time has come, and you will respect it. For the people, I call upon you. Do not call yourself that ever again. This is a call to action. Now, repost this. That is a commandment from every one of your ancestors, your grandmamas, your grandfathers, all of those who have died in these lands, all of those who were whipped in these lands. We are storming up. We're sending electric boats down. We're flooding these lands to let everyone know no longer will we be addressed as a color. We are the heir to these lands. We are the indigenous, the true indigenous. We are not for sale, for rent, for no one. Do not let anyone mislabel you again. This identity theft stops now, and the way we stop it is by stop using the bullshit language. Blessings. Get to know you. Know who you are. Gods, goddesses, kings, queens. You come from royalty. They're charging you for water. They're charging you for food that they have polluted. No longer. These are our lands. We are indigenous and we're fed up. Repost it. Let it be on every timeline of one who calls himself a so-called fake black. And if you continue, then you are the op. Indigenous way, we rise together.
Closing down exhibit halls and Native American displays to follow new federal rules requiring special permissions to exhibit sacred cultural artifacts.
So what does it look like inside the Field Museum right now, and what's the real impact for the museum and others across the country? Our Tara Molina spent the day working to answer those questions and brings us the story inside the Field Museum. we're not Indians and we're not Native Americans. We're older than both concepts. We're the people, we're the human being. Okay, I got a question for you because it's hard for non-Indigenous or Native to understand because we're told a million things. It sort of goes against this, so correct me where I'm wrong. If we're to refer to the overall, not a specific tribe, not like Lakota or Crow, what's the best way to say it? What do you guys like to be?
I mean, it depends on the tribe.
Okay.
The tribe and who you're talking to. I think indigenous is kind of a newer tag that they, when you start looking at the definition of the words, indigenous, yeah. Indigenous of that land, you can say that about the Maori people in their island.
What about Indian?
Now, Indian, the older people are so used to Indian, that's what they prefer. The reason also is because when you look at the treaties, especially treaty people, they call us Indians in that treaty. But each tribe prefers their own name. Like for us, it's Oglala.
Oglala,
Yeah, but you wouldn't know that because you don't know anything about Oglala. Sioux, some people I'm Oglala Sioux because they don't know where the word Sioux comes from. Even our own tribe, we're called the Oglala Sioux tribe. They haven't changed our, the tribal buildings. They still call themselves Oglala Sioux, even though they know it's a derogatory name given to us by the French and Ojibwe. But we still, as a nation, call ourselves that.
Okay.
The traditional people say, I'm not a Sioux, I'm a Lakota. I mean, to me, it's really called whatever you want.
No, it's just interesting because older people say one thing, younger people say another, and then a lot of, let's say, college-educated white people will say how you have to say it, and they have no experience here.
Up in the freaking encyclopedia. Oh, well, I could be Native American. I was born in America.
Right.
Native American,
I know they're really...
in India, they call me tribal. Oh, they thought I was from India.
How'd you like India?
I love it, man. They said, oh, you're red Indian.
Signs like this one explain why these displays are covered up. They have been for weeks here at the Field Museum in order to comply with these new federal guidelines. Museums had until January 12th to do this.
My dad went out on that relocation program, and I was born in Oakland.
Really? Okay, so what was the relocation program exactly?
Like, focus on this location.
Okay.
The government was trying to train everybody on the reservation and then move them to cities.
Okay.
And then their thinking was after they got everybody off the reservation, then they could take that land too.
Was that happening?
In the 50s and 60s.
This is a new world for me, so rookie questions. But I was under the impression just up until a couple days ago that all these lands were now pretty much sealed and locked down and good to go. But I'm learning that's not the case, right? There's a constant battle?
Now they have the Indian buyback program.
Okay.
So a bunch of landowners sold their land back to supposedly to the tribe, but basically it's back to the government.
And they leave the reservation?
No, they're still here. They just get the money, and then they lose their title to the land. A lot of the landowners never lived on their land, just kind of leased it out.
So how does that make you guys feel?
I think it's atrocious.
Black curtains and covered displays inside Chicago's Field Museum. Moves the museum had to make to follow changes to the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act.
We have taken off display or covered the cases with objects that are of cultural sensitivity, either things that are grave goods or ceremonial goods or important for cultural patrimony.
Jock Hochstatten leads the exhibitions team here and told me they're proud to have led the charge when it comes to making changes to follow the new federal rules. An example of what's behind the brown paper.
Black and white pottery that most major museums in this country have. Many of those things could be from graves, burials.
Experts in the museum, per the new rules, need to connect with the Native American communities connected to each item. Those conversations can lead to permission to continue to keep something on display or to return or repatriate important cultural items.
The question I get often is, do people get free housing? Darwin, your building it's a mortgage.
Yeah.
What was I saying?
So a lot of the houses, like the stick builds, were built some in the late 70s, early 80s.
Okay.
They're HUD houses, and a lot of them are tribal employees who can afford to pay rent out of them. But part of the treaty is also to get housing. So unless you're working, if you're working, you have to pay rent, and you're just paying for the tribal housing.
So the tribal housing authority owns all of them?
Most of the majority of the houses that are stick built, that are HUD houses, because they were HUD program houses.
Okay, so the individuals are not owning their homes?
There's home ownership houses. You pay to own them. Yeah, like my mother's house is a home ownership house. But like unless you buy your own trailer like these guys, you might not even have a house. That's why there could be 3 or 4 families living in a little trailer down there.
Okay, something like that.
Yeah.
There are dozens and dozens of communities to consult. So it'll take quite a while, let alone that all the museums in the country are dealing with the same thing.
The new rule, it's something they're already doing in newer exhibits like this one.
All those items on display have the permission of the right community.
The impacted sections of the museum date back to the 80s and 90s. So we're told, while this process will likely take years,
working collaboratively with the Native communities is how we'll go forward. And to be honest, this is a really joyful thing to do.
people here at the Field Museum are working on this right now, but it's not clear quite yet how long displays like this one will be covered up. You can find more on the impact here in Chicago and across the country when you head to this story. It's up on our website right now.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of rivalry. I mean, the Crows were the ones who scouted for the cavalry against us.
Wow, nice place. This is cool. Beautiful.
We have a mortgage on home, and I think like a lot of misconception is that the government gives us houses, or like we get money from our tribe, which we don't.
So you're paying for this
full
outright?
Yeah, we got a mortgage, and then the Thunder Valley Community Development really helped us with the process and purchasing the home, and gave us the education.
These houses are set up too because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yep.
7 houses set up in a semicircular floor, and her entrance faces the east. Traditionally, that's how our teepees would have been set up.
Oh, okay. Okay.
With the leader in the center, like right here. So that's why I call my daughter's house as the chief's house, because it's in the center right here. And the two at the end are the warriors who guard the entrance. And so everybody that comes in, they're supposed to come in through that entrance way over there.
So I was told the last few days, actually, in Montana, on the different reservations I've been on, they said, oh, 2 things. Pine Ridge is the most dangerous, and Pine Ridge is the poorest, which, first impressions, different than what I thought I'd be getting into. And it's not all like this, obviously, but
well, I mean, economically, per capita, we are one of the poorest counties in America.
You guys are so far in here. It took forever to get here from the last town, like an hour and a half.
Yeah. So if you notice, all the roads lead off the reservation. That's also by design, and that's the way of the government keeping us poor. So all the money goes off the reservation.
So what I'm realizing in my journey through native lands is every reservation has different jurisdiction to some degree. For example, yesterday on Crow, I learned that people could homestead from outside the reservation. White people or any people could come in and homestead. So some of that land is not owned by the Crow, even though it's in the reservation.
Boundaries, yeah.
What about here?
Here, the majority is tribal land. In modern times, I know, because of fractionation, unless you have a title to it, you can do whatever you want with it. You own it. You can sell it.
So you can sell it to anybody?
To anybody, yeah. No, if you have a title. But if it's tribal land, you cannot sell it. It belongs to the tribe.
Okay.
But in reality, all the land belongs to the federal government.
What's your name?
Marianne Carty.
Marianne Carty. Is that it? Good girl, Marianne. And what's your name?
Sandra Farrell.
Sandra Farrell. In fact, well over half the names of the 13,000 people who now inhabit the island of Montserrat are distinctively Irish. In parts of the island, the proportion of Irish names would be as high as 9 out of 10. Apart from the more familiar Irish names, you also get words like Irish, Dublin, Cork, even Kinsale used as surnames, which would seem to make the Montserrat children more Irish than the Irish themselves. The first Irish landed in Montserrat in 1632 at this bay, Kinsale Bay. The plantations just inland from here are still to this day known as Broderick's Estate, O'Gara's Estate and Galway Estate, and the little village just around that headland is St. Patrick's Village. Who were they, these first Irish settlers? Well, a group came out from Cork with names like Barry, Sullivan, Driscoll, Roach and Ryan, and they settled in the neighbouring island of St. Kitts, hoping to trade in tobacco there. But after a few months they had such violent rows with the English Puritans in St. Kitts that they left there for the smaller island of Montserrat.
Where do all black people originate from? Most people think Africa is the only land where black people live, but you will be surprised to know that the truth is the opposite. The earliest humans originated in Africa but migrated to Asia, Europe, and other continents where they live. Number 2, Australian Aborigines. Black tribes living in Australia are called the Australian Aborigines. Interestingly, it is not widely known, but the truth is they have been living in Australia for over 60,000 years. They migrated from Africa, and after detouring, they reached Australia and started living as hunter-gatherers. Their way of living was simple. They lived off the land and profoundly respected the natural world. They believed they were spiritually connected to the land and that their culture and beliefs were closely tied to the animals and plants they encountered. Even today, many Australian Aborigines still maintain their cultural traditions, although their way of life has changed significantly due to the impact of colonialism and modernization. Some still live in remote communities, maintaining a deep connection to their traditional lands, while others have moved to urban areas. Number 3, the Negrito people.
Historical depictions of Native Americans being Negroes. The Aboriginal Negroes of America were reclassified from Native American to African American. The real Native Americans are Negroid, not Mongoloid like the people that falsely claim to be native today.
Started in Florida. the Seminole Wars that they never talked about because the black men that fought in the wars, they were already here. They already knew that they came from Africa, from Jerusalem in that part, you know? So they knew already the tribes that they were from, you know what I'm saying? Like the Seminoles come from Edith, the tribe of Edith, out of Jerusalem. You can read on that too. And then they come here, Seminole is in the Bible, but it broke down in syllables, you know what I'm saying? And it always was because they were warriors. They never let out, you know? They never let out. So when they were here, and then the English and the Spanish started coming, that's why you didn't know, like a lot of people don't understand, like in Spain, there are a lot of Moors. There were a lot, the dances they do in Spain are Moor dances. The dances they do in Oaxaca, Guerrero, that's Moor. You know what I mean? Because Moors are black who were cultivated everything before. And then they started getting either dying out and getting killed, you know what I mean? Because they had so much power. So they wanted to take that power away from them. Because how do you break people? The infrastructure, the power, them knowing what they are. And that's it. So Seminole Wars, and the Seminole Wars, the black Seminoles, they went to Oklahoma. They were there like 10 years. And then the United States government wanted to go.
Just let's bring it back real quick, right? They were in, we're talking about the black Seminoles.
Yeah.
They started off in Florida, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking about black people integrating into the indigenous
Yeah, but you see, like the Florida Seminoles that are there now, that's not original Florida Seminoles.
Gotcha.
Okay, that's why if you look at the Caribbeans, they have Seminoles there too. Because black people are already here, bro. So it's, so you tell me, if you look at history, they'll put down like when they brought all the Germans, people that they brought. Yeah, exactly. But they don't, but okay, where's ours? If y'all brought so many slaves over here, then where's that at? Because it's a lot.
Right.
You didn't bring nobody over here. Yeah, you brought a couple of them. I think it was like 4 or 5%. You know what I mean? But you didn't bring none that you say now, like what they do in America, the infrastructure of slavery was for them to win, for them to be able to gain. You know what I mean? Because they couldn't gain over us. So those Seminole Wars were all over that because of what had already transpired in Africa. But when they came here, the blacks were like, no, y'all know this, that we were never slaves to y'all. You know what I'm saying? So they fought. They had like 3 Seminole Wars in Florida, won all of them. They don't say that in history. They went to Oklahoma because they said, all right, cool, they're going to be here in Oklahoma. The black Seminoles never were satisfied because they said, okay, we're here 10 years and the United States come in and try to take them back into slavery. So they came down, you know, and they were here in Bradgate, where there's the Rio, Pecos River, all that. So the Kickapoo, and this is even bringing in the Kickapoo, but the Kickapoo would get killed by the Apache, Comanche, and all that. So the chief from the Kickapoo came and told the black chiefs, the ones that were in power, that were leading us, they were like, oh, you know what, can y'all help us? Because we just getting killed. So they came with us. But now, you know, they even try to leave us out of their history, you know what I'm saying? Because now they got, you know, white money, So that's the whole thing. So this year, it's been, June 19th been celebrated for a long time. Only time I've ever missed June 19th was like in 2002 when I was in college.
How your ancestors used to be the Border Patrol?
Oh yeah, that was what they were. They were Border Patrol. If you look at even like San Antonio, New Braunfels, Texas, all them things, they were established after they dismantled the Seminole, you know what I'm saying, and Bradgate and Fort Clark. And if you look at the history, they let you know, if you're smart enough and you read and you can put things together, you know that's why it was, because it was safe. So they could say, oh, this is when New Braunfels was established, this was established, Austin. You know what I'm saying? They were all established in 18. So if you ruled people while you established in the 1800s, like, you know what I mean, already close to the 1900s. So what's the difference? You know what I mean? So that lets you know. But if you don't like to look up history, that's like the Caribbeans. A black man in the Caribbean, why would they not be here? Dominican Republic, all that, Haitians, all that. The same. Why would they not be here? Tell me.
Were you born here, or
I was born in San Antonio.
Do you have family members here?
Yeah, all my family's here.
They were born here.
Yeah, we were born here. My grandfather wasn't born here. He came over here. My daddy was born here. All my sisters were born here. All that.
So, like, how important was it your family to let in your family was it for them to keep up their heritage?
It was really important more for my uncle, my dad's brother. He was really very proud of him. He was very proud to be a black. What he was, he never denied it. Like I am. I'm very proud to be a black. You know what I mean? It's something that that's not. You know, you can't make no other color without black.
You know, I think there's a lot of Mexicans that have like they might have a black heritage, but they don't know it because
That's like the Oaxaca Guerrero. What I'm telling you about. A lot of the guys that were real revolutionaries in Mexico and the Mexican history, they were made for black. But they keep that out of it. But now they're going to they looking it up now. They're going to do it because that's all it is. It's racism towards one race. You know what I mean? That's all it really is. So
it's like history. Like we can say history is being suppressed. It's not American. I be making videos and they always say, "Oh, you American? You trying to?" No.
I'm just trying to learn. Just like in Brazil, just like in Colombia, Argentina, all them places. They're being separated. France, all that. Okay, yeah, that's what I tell you. If you look at France, why did France win the World Cup when they won it? They won it because they had nothing but black talent. If you look at the ideology of France, okay, you're saying that these are white guys, then why did not that color of people win it? They were blacks. That won you. Oh, well, it's good for when we win stuff for you, but it's not good for us to want our own business. It should be told. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? But it's good when you suppressing us, but you're making money off of us. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, that's why I tell you, you have to. All people of color need to know and find their own stuff, their own history to make their people more, their family more stronger in that way. Because if you just think that, oh, you're ghetto, you come from there, you ain't nothing, then you just keep raising people that are not, bother themselves, bother what they are. So, you know what I'm saying? Just even down to wearing a cowboy hat and all that. Black people originate that. Bull riding.
I heard the first cowboy.
Black people, man, you have Bill Payton, you had a lot of world champions. Dylan Wilson, world champions that were champions 10 times, 10 years in a row. Because you cannot mess with us. You know what I'm saying? So now you make it like, oh, yes, a big thing. Yeah, now you get in Brazil, Brazilians come in and win, mix. Now you see. Now you can see what a cookie crumbles. That's what I'm saying.
They gonna let Donald Trump ass win by default, man. He is the last president of the USC, the United States of Earth, nigga. This shit is over with, nigga. That story in Revelations about the end of the world, it's about the end of their motherfucking world. Yeah, in Revelations, and the great beast, the 10-headed serpent, wasn't allowed to trade with anyone anymore. None of the merchants would trade with her. And everybody stood back and watched her sink, and they was like, oh, woe to that great beast, Babylon, nigga. They was talking about America, nigga. Talking about, that's what's gonna happen. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. We good though. You know what I'm saying? We good. You know what I'm saying? They took this shit from us. We wasn't killing each other. We wasn't disrespecting our women. It wasn't like that, y'all. So everything we did, we get passed. That should get a pass. We was under spells, y'all. We was spells. We had been enslaved. That's what really happened. They put spells on us. They locked our DNA, nigga. They enslaved this nigga. They put drugs in the kid. All this shit had us at each other. Facts. This is a fact.
Every Native American tribe I've met, every federal petition I've met, all use Jim Crow and the Plecker Law and eugenics and all the different things to argue their federal petitions. They have to identify as Negroes to be recognized as an Indian tribe. Think about that.
That's deep.
Southeast Indians that apply has to prove they have Negro in them to be recognized. Don't believe me? Look it up, check it out. My argument has always been them. Why is the Yamasee a problem? I can tell you why the Yamasee is a problem. Because we're the only tribe that looked like we were identified. How do I fake being a Negro? They're like, oh, y'all pretendians. How do you fake being a Negro? This is the description of my people. How do I pretend to be something that I, quote, look like? But you're descendants of us. Let's do one better. They say Seminole, Seminole, Semaroon, Maroon. So I hear my Maroon brothers say, oh, we're Maroons. To them, that equates to African. No, it doesn't. Semaroon, runaways, wild ones, the runaways. And you'll hear Seminole people say, no, that's not true. Well, I got links in our IG that says, yes.
They don't want that to come out.
They don't want that to come out. Because, see, they don't know. They're still following the same oppressors that they say oppress them. They're following their information. Most of the websites and information you get in Native American tribes that it says oral tradition isn't oral tradition. It is a regurgitation of what the Europeans said.
It's written tradition. Yeah.
Right? But when we look at the word Seminole, runaway, you going to tell me that those you see as Seminoles today look like Negroes on a slave plantation? That the colonists couldn't mistake them. Those are my Negroes. You're going to tell me that the slave narratives inside of the court documentation, the judicial system that they have within the Lord proprietors, and all of the documentation that they have, which identify these as people as Negro that came off a ship, because that's what they did. They falsified paperwork. What do they call them? What is the terminology? I'm looking. I just had to come up with this the other day. Not the memoir, the manifesto. Thank you.
Oh, Aaron, you on with the document.
I appreciate
that's
it.
what you got.
Yeah. So in the manifesto, it says from Africa, blah 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 blah. Right. So how do you, as this light-skinned brother, say that I look like my original people, I'm full-blooded, and you don't look like none of what they described your people as? But I can show you where the Creek people, all identified as Negroes. Matter of fact, I can even show you where books say the invention of the Creek Nation, which people hate when I do that.
Wow.
When I sat before Stephen Hahn and we had the 300-year anniversary for the Yamasee War, and the question was asked, it sounds like you're saying, what was the difference between the Creek and the Yamasee? And the man paused, and you could see him breathe like, I got to really answer this. He said there was none. Why? Because the Yamasee were identified as Negro.
An American Indian and a Native American is two different people. An American Indian is somebody who is described by law in 1662 as somebody whose land was taken and conquered by Christians, and therefore enslaved through the law, the baby follows the belly. So you would have been freed only in 1865 with the 14th Amendment and given birthright citizenship. That does not include Native Americans who are indigenous to Canada and Alaska, because they don't have birthrights. The United States knows who they are. So legally they cannot tell them that they're Indians, because they're not. They're native to the continent of America. But they were not conquered by Christians. They would be Christian to this day. That was beaten into us. We are the Christians because our land was taken by non-Christians with the doctrine of discovery. American Indians and Native Americans are two different people. They were given our land, and apparently they told y'all that this is Turtle Island.
Nobody says Columbus discovered America anymore, except for Columbus Day. It is now common knowledge that Christopher Columbus did not discover America. If you see, the question I asked was, did Columbus discover America? The truth about history is starting to come out, and the history told by colonialism is being revealed as untrue. History is being rewritten as new information is being found, and history that was untold or hidden is now being released. And it's because we're more connected now. It's easier for us to get this information. It makes sense why black people weren't allowed to read and write. And it's not a narrative of white delusion to say that natives carry Siberian DNA, just like melanated indigenous would carry African DNA, but both being a part of this land for a very, very long time.
They don't really say we're not really Africans. We're the Caribbean.
Now, I love that this topic is coming up because of the fact a lot of people look at this man and do his facial features and be like, you're crazy, you have to be from Africa due to your complexion, your broad nose and broad lips. Like, but actually, how he looks is actually how the Aboriginal characters look. It talks about them in this book, A Voyage to the West Indies, containing the various observations made during the residence in Barbados. Now, this book was published by a man named John Augustine Waller in 1820. Now, this book says on pages 85 through 86, here is a still small remnant of the aboriginal natives of the Caribbean. There are many families to be met with here, said to be Caribs, but I have always suspected them to have been mixed with African or French blood. Now, here, he says suspected, meaning that this isn't true. He just suspected for them to be mixed with African or French blood due to their features. Now, he goes along and says, I saw, however, during the campaign, a man and woman whom curiosity had attracted to one of the most northern of the French coast, whom I considered to be a genuine Caribs. But he said they were of a dark copper color, with long, black hair, flat faces, and a countenance more hideous than that of the African Negro. Now, if you don't know what countenance means, in the 1828 dictionary, the reason I go to this dictionary is because this book was written in the 1820s, but in the dictionary it says that countenance means literally the contents of a body, the outline and the extension which constitutes the whole figure or external appearance, appropriately the human face, the whole form of the face, or the system of features. So they were basically saying that these people have more broad features than Africans that was actually being brought over. And to go along and prove furthermore that these people were not African, it said that these persons did not understand the common Negro French, except a very few words, nor could I find any Negro that could converse with them. I could obtain but little information in respecting these Caribbean people. So understand, before you look at any person from the Caribbean island and just think through their complexion or features that they have ancestry from Africa, understand the Aboriginal people of the Caribbean islands look like this man right here that was saying that they are Caribs. So understand the features. This is just something thrown in you guys' face to make you all believe that we all come from one spot. But actually, we just from here, my guy. Happy New Year. Peace. Bless.
Clues to the identity of the first Americans are emerging in rock shelters in the northeast and southeast of Brazil. Archaeologists there have recently unearthed human remains. Prehistoric skulls were found buried in layers of soil 9 to 12,000 years old. They are the oldest skulls in the Americas.
The oldest skulls in the Americas.
And this is the oldest of them all. The skull of a young woman nicknamed Luthia by scientists. Can she
tell us who the first Americans were?
Walter Neves is a physical anthropologist at Sao Paulo University in Brazil. He's been using a standard and reliable archaeological measure, the shape of the skull, to find out what race she belonged to. He fully expected Luthia to be a Mongoloid, an ancestor of the American Indians. But then he fed the measurements into the computer.
When we started running the computer and seeing the results, it was amazing because we realized that the statistics, the quantitative analysis we were doing was not showing these people to be Mongoloid. In fact, the analysis was showing these people as anything except Mongoloid.
Not showing these people to be Mongoloid. In fact, the analysis was showing these people as anything except Mongoloid.
The theory that a large number of black slaves in the New World were actually the Aboriginal indigenous people of the United States is gaining some traction nowadays thanks to TikTok and some other media. This theory makes some good common sense points. Why transport slaves across the stormy Atlantic when you could just enslave the local population? Much, much easier. If this theory is something that is accurate, it makes a world of sense why the establishment and the historical record would want to abdicate that from our teaching in school. Advocates of this theory point to pyramids in the New World. Megalithic architecture that displays the exact same nodules that are also seen on the Egyptian pyramid. The stone heads of the Olmecs display African characteristics. The fact that many African American cultures were master shipbuilders. And even some archaeological evidence that dates sites found in the New World, specifically South America, to a ridiculously old time frame. So what do you think? Way off base or close? Comment down below.
I'm sorry, y'all. If I would have known educating people on the history of black indigenous Americans was gonna ruffle so many feathers, I would have did this a long time ago. I was talking to my tribes. I don't really care where you're from. Did y'all know 65% of the Native American ancestry comes from Eastern Asia and that 35% comes from a Siberian population known as the ancient North Eurasians? It's a prevailing scientific consensus that says your ancestors are from Siberia. How this gene pool migrated into and eventually down the West Coast. Why would this be upsetting to you? Who is y'all and why would they want you to be from somewhere? It may not be common knowledge, but it's easy to find out Native Americans were indeed transported on ships. Between 2 to 5 million, which is the entire Native population, being captured and transported all over America, eventually making it down into modern-day Mexico and forced into this, including field work, manual labor on plantations, while the majority of the 10.5 million Africans were transported to South and Central America. Though the United States was involved in the transatlantic trade, the domestic trade was more significant. Look at that arrow going to North America. 0.304,000 somehow populated 48 million people. Here's a fun fact. 58% of Native Americans marry outside of their racial group, making them the racial group with the highest rate of intermarriage, with 61% of the women marrying outside their race, 54%
of the men marrying, why would it matter if either of my parents were white? We know it only takes 25% to claim Native American ancestry. And this isn't the best photo of my son, my brother, my dad, or his mom's brother, but it emphasizes the features. Just look at the shades this beautiful woman created. If you're jealous of these green eyes, you should ask my siblings. It's a recessive trait, and I shouldn't even have to display public records. But since you got more questions than you have receipts, I brought a few of my own. There's a lot of stuff I didn't cover in this video because I've already covered it in others. But if you feel like I left anything out, or if there's anything you want me to discuss, I got you. And if you know somebody who might enjoy this information, share it to them or tag them in the comments. And correct me if I'm wrong, cause we all learn it. All I can say is
America before slavery, they are correct. We were in America before slavery because we were everywhere before slavery. We're the oldest people. We were on the planet by ourselves for tens of thousands of years. So yes, we were here. When you read the diaries of Christopher Columbus, he talks of seeing black skin, woolly hair, just like the ones he saw in Africa.
He finally said it.
Say we were in America before slavery, they are correct. We were in America before slavery because we were everywhere before slavery. We're the oldest people. We were on the planet by ourselves for tens of thousands of years. So yes, we were here. When you read the diaries of Christopher Columbus, he talks of seeing black skin, woolly hair, just like the ones he saw in Africa.
He finally said it.
You calling me a pretendian? Is it because of the jade? Because that comes from China. You know what else comes from China? You! You want to talk about logic, you want to talk about history, you want to talk about DNA. Explain to me how there's tribes in China with the same or very similar traditions to y'all that are older than you. Better yet, explain to me why you are a spitting image of my little sister, who is also from China. Y'all make it too easy.
In the late 1800s, there was something called the Dawes Rolls, which was basically a census that made records of people's ethnic backgrounds in order to determine which Native American tribes would get certain land allotments and other benefits. After slavery, many black people were associated with some of these tribes by bloodline, through marriage, through adoption, and even servitude. And because they were associated with these tribes, many black people were entitled to some of these benefits. The government did not want blacks to get these benefits, so they created a separate freedmen's list specifically for black people. They also started to list any full-blooded Native American who had African features as black because they didn't want them getting those benefits either. At the same time, they allowed white citizens to come in and pay money under the table to be listed as part Native American. 1895, 1896, when a lot of the whites found out the benefits that these blacks would be entitled to, a lot of whites went to the Dawes Commission and said, look, why don't you put my name on there? They said, but you're not an Indian. So they said, I'll give you $5. So the rule got around, the policy got around that for $5, that a white could put his name on the Dawes rolls and be called himself an Indian and be entitled to all these benefits, and all their children can be entitled to all these benefits forever. And so that became known as what's called a $5 Indian. And so if you go around now and check most of the Indians, the so-called Indians in America, about 90% of them are not even Indians. They were just whites now who were passing as Indians. And they're getting all the benefits. And they're not paying any taxes, getting free college education. They put up a little reservation on the land that they don't live on. They have another home off and get all kind of benefits. Iron Eyes Cody was another famous Native American person. He was in the media for years. In the 1970s, they utilized him for this pollution commercial. He was known as the Crying Indian. So he was a very well-known Native American in American culture. But the reality is, Iron Eyes Cody wasn't Native American at all. He was Sicilian. Both of his parents were from Sicily. So he didn't have one drop of Native American blood in him. He was another fake Indian.
Hey man, can we stop using the Greek terms? The Greeks just came in and changed all of our shit. Like, damn, bro. Y'all motherfuckers had to rewrite everything? For what? Why we couldn't keep it the way it was? Why Egypt couldn't stay Kemet? Why y'all had to change Haru to Horus, change Osset to Isis, change Asar to Osiris? Why y'all had to change everything? Y'all motherfuckers came and changed the whole world. For what? Y'all changed Ki to Gaia. What? Y'all better stop calling my mama Gaia, man. These motherfucking Greek terms. Let's stop using these Greek terms and get back to our term, because everything is about frequency. And the true frequency isn't the names that we created, the ones we created. That's where the real power, the real frequency is at. If they change the words, they change the frequency, the vibration of the word and the meaning. So we got to get back to the ancient ways, man. You know, the bloodline awakening, man. We not using that Greek shit no more, man. We not using the Roman or the Greek shit. We done with that shit, man. We going back to the ancient ways, man. Fuck all that other shit.
I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I don't celebrate the 4th of July, so do not call my phone and say happy 4th of July. I don't celebrate that shit. Don't see me out in public and stream happy 4th of July. I don't celebrate that shit. Now, if you say that shit to me, I might smack your ass with a rib or something. Black people, we ain't free. What the fuck we celebrate Independence Day for? Answer that for me. What the fuck we celebrate Independence Day for?
It's 6 o'clock in the morning and I have not went to sleep because I have been on ancestry.com tracing back my lineage. So amazed. My whole family on both sides are Creek Indians. We are from Georgia, Florida. And it's just so interesting to see, like, I'm in the early 1800s right now and I need to go to sleep because it's 6 a.m. But I'm just very excited. I teared up looking at my grandfather's and great-grandfather's draft little cards, registering for the draft, seeing everybody's marriage records. It's just a beautiful thing to see. So don't mind my hair. Don't worry about it. I'm figuring out where I come from and I'm going to get it together.
So these are all the different color peoples of the ancient world. There was all different kind of color peoples, you know what I'm saying? With braid, you know, he looked like the Hebrew. You feel what I'm saying? He looked like the Negrito, one of them Negrito, Asiatics, you know what I'm saying? But all of these are color people that are like an Indo-European colored man, one of them Dravidians, you feel what I'm saying? So, no, these are not Negroes, no, these are not black people. Those are legal American terms, but you know, in layman terms, these are all Nichols family, you know what I'm saying? These are all colorful, black folk, melanated people, you feel what I'm saying? But they're from different reasons, they're different phenotypes, they're different haplogroups, you feel what I'm saying? So they're not all the same from Africa, and all niggas are from Africa. No, the fuck they not. Niggas are from all over the goddamn earth, as we can see right here. This is the color palette. You got the Egyptian, the Australian going towards the Asiatic. Then you got the Nubian, the Ethiopian. Then you got the different Caucasians and shit. Or the Albinomers, you see what I'm saying? So, Caucasians, they tried to put this shit together to make it simpler, but we done already did it. You know what I'm saying? They say, oh, we gotta, you know, organize, we have to create race. You feel what I'm saying? Race was already understood. You didn't have to, you know, okay, this don't be the nigger right here. You feel me? But this is the American right here. You feel what I'm saying? This the American. This the Mongoloid, Caucasian. This is the Hebrew. You feel me? Or the Asiatic, the Afro-Asiatic. This is the East Asiatic. This is the African. This the North African and the Australian and the Native American. You feel what I'm saying? So you have to come from one of the four family or one of the five. You can't just make some shit up. You feel me? So where do the Native American people come from? It's only one red man, homie. You see what I'm saying?
This is the image that the newspaper published of the great Inca king Pachacuta Yupanqui, which translates to, "He who reforms the world in righteousness." Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Melchizedek, the king under the mountain. But we call him King David, a man beloved by the Almighty Creator himself.
Aborigines, which means what? Black folks. But you never find a white aborigine. Rather, aborigines are called natives, or they're always dark-skinned people. You and I are aborigines, but you don't like to be called an aborigine. Aborigine actually means from the beginning. Two Latin words, ab meaning from, origine meaning the beginning.
This land, they called it Greece. When they called that Greece, God, that made that comment. When they called that Greece, Darren, peace God, Darren. When they called that Greece, God, you know, I know why you said that, but check game. When they was calling that Greece, we had already fallen. They was already colonizing everything. We had already failed. You get what I'm saying? So of course the ancient people that was on that land before them was definitely black, but don't say the ancient Greeks were black. No, Greeks and the Romans were white people. You feel me? Now the people that was on the land before the Greeks and the Romans, you right, they was us. That's the point we making today. You feel me? We decoding all the historical bullshit. So you right, God, on that, but you want to correct your lingo because you can lose yourself. Like the technology. You see what I'm saying? The Greeks were black, and Greek and us don't even go together. We not even black, all right? The scientific name for black is deaf and pale. Right, the scientific meaning of pale is black. So all of that is technology that I got for other lectures, and I'll break down for you. You know, I'll feel free to build with you on that, guy, but just keep tuning in.
White people did not invent science. Most of what Europe learned about science, they learned from the Moors, people who were not white. In fact, the Moors taught us all about surgery and medicine and invented things like the scalpel. They even taught us about 7-course meals. They lifted us out of the dark ages. There is a reason that the number system we use are referred to as Arabic numerals. They even taught us how to season food. The Moors even invented the modern university system that we use today that I work with.
You know, what we don't have in our history books is that the civilization we have in Europe today was brought to us by black people. Even black people don't know that. Even many black people don't know that. They don't know that the Moors, they were West Africans and North Africans and Central Africans that came to Europe and ruled Spain. They brought civilization to us. They showed us how to use soap, how to be clean, how to behave like a decent human being, you know? All these things we didn't know that before the Moors brought civilization to Spain.
Any modern program or education on black history will always try to tell you that the black race was a race of savages or a race of slaves, but this is far from the truth. When we look back at history, especially throughout the period of the 1500s to the 1800s, we see kings, queens, lawyers, mathematicians, leaders of state. We see knights and saints. Slavery, as you know it, was a hoax, or what we call a psychological operation, because the black race was already in Europe, as we can see depicted in the art here, and we also know that the black race was already in America. All of the photos I am showing you are from European royalty.
This is going to blow your mind. This is the real Tartarian original family lineage. Okay, this is going back really far. We're looking at like 11th, 12th century. That is still, I think, the Habsburg War. It's amazing. The shield is the same thing. It's the same shield. He's also carrying something that I've seen in China, because I have traveled extensively around East Asian countries, especially Hong Kong and Taiwan. And that is a very important urn that is on top of all the Taoist temples. It's crazy. That it actually is also associated with one of the 3 kings that visits Jesus. Incense, I think one of them was gold, incense, frankincense. And this is the Kobo Moor. Must be around the 8th century when Europe was invaded by the Moors and the Tartarians or the Persians. They built their buildings with mortar, a combination of both empires' names, the Moor and the mortar. Nobody's ever said anything to me about this. I worked this out pretty much myself, so your intuition doesn't matter, your background, your education, your profession is irrelevant. It's intuition, it's genetic memory. So that's the Kobo Moor. That's one of the 3 families that combined to create the British monarchy.
Nasty work. Nasty work. Nasty work. Did y'all see that? Yeah. Famous figures that you think are white, not white, straight black. It's a deception. It was a deception to make us forget who we was, to make us believe, make all brown-skinned people believe that they are from Africa, when really we was from everywhere. We walked everywhere. We went everywhere. We ruled everywhere before anyone else. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's like I said, when I started this, it was simply just on American Indians and Native Americans, the whole battle in between that. But now that I've had this going for a while, it's like, wow, they can't hide the truth anymore. In places like Russia and the Chinese, they're not trying to hide the truth. They're letting it be known that black people ruled this before us. And yeah, it's kind of messed up how we done them to try to make them, or try to erase the lineage of them. Whereas Americans, Native Americans, Mexicans, Spaniards, they still want to hold up the white lie that we all just came from Africa, which they know that shit is not true. But hey, if you liked the video, go ahead and drop a like and subscribe for our brother, because that really helps us out over here. And I've been your boy Astro, and I'll catch you guys next time. Deuces!